Okay, so we are going to start with lesson 2. This is in the package that you received. We're going to start with entering text and numbers in a worksheet. You will be doing a lot of this independently, but I just wanted to go through the lesson plans and the lessons that you've received to talk about a few things, because I think it's valuable for me to show you a few tips and tricks, a few things that will help you as you work through this Excel program. So the first thing to note is that Excel is like a giant calculator, but it is far more powerful than a calculator. It's probably one of my most favorite programs. It simply helps to, it helps you when you're trying to figure out numbers, but also when you're figuring out relationships of numbers. It's not a math thing. It shouldn't be scary for people who don't like math. It's just organizing your numbers. So let's get started. The first thing, again, to notice is that there is text and there is value. And if you look at the top over here, you will see that when you enter text, or in this case, not values, but just text across, and your sentence is longer than A1, than just in the cell, you will start typing this in cell A1 and it will stretch all the way across. So even if it says B or C, your text will stretch all the way across. Text is always left aligned, which means it is on the left side of the cell. Numbers are always right aligned, which means they automatically sit on the right side of the cell. Again, when you start to put a value in the cell, Excel is very good at deciding whether or not they are values or numbers and when there is text. Look at the numbers in the worksheet. They're all right aligned. This lets you know that Excel has recognized them correctly. So work through this lesson. You will open a sample file. You'll find that on our class page. It is called First Quarter Sales and Profit. And you'll also see it at the bottom here on every page, which one you're actually working with. So you're going to open that first quarter sales and profit, and we're going to work with that workbook. And we're going to go through it, adding different numbers and doing some different things to it. So that's all on that page. Let me just scroll through. Another thing to note, an important thing to note, is when you enter a negative number, there's two different ways of doing that. You can enter it with a minus sign in front of it, minus 123.56, or you can bracket it. If you bracket it, then it will also recognize it as a negative number. If you're entering commas, Excel has an automatic way of entering commas for you when you're entering numbers. You don't have to put the commas in. I never use commas. I just type the number in as it is. And then when you're entering fractions, Excel will turn the fraction for you into a number, into a decimal. So when you enter fractions, you must leave a space between the number and the fraction for it to work. And then it's going to come in your worksheet as, in this case, 6 1/4 will come on your worksheet as 6.25. So you're going to work through this together, or on your own. Actually, we're not working in it together. In lesson 2, we're going to create a new workbook, and we're going to view 2 workbooks at the same time. You'll follow this lesson through and do that. Shouldn't be a problem. On the side here, there's always some extra notes to help you on the side here. We've already talked a little bit about finding a workbook when many are open. We've also talked about switching the windows. This is important to know right at the beginning because it does help you organize your work correctly. So here you're opening a brand new file. You're not working with any existing file. When we're using AutoSum, so AutoSum is a wonderful tool. What it does is it very quickly calculates all the numbers for you. Sum means to add things together. It's a summation or a sum. And this over here is the AutoSum button. You will find that up in the ribbon when you have an open window. So right up in the very top of the ribbon, you'll see the AutoSum button. It is the most widely used formula button in Excel. I use it all the time to add things up really quickly. Excel will do it automatically for you. So work through this lesson and you will see how that works. You do need to open First Quarter Sales and Profit 2 in order to do this lesson correctly. For lesson 4, you should open first quarter sales and profit 3. There's a few things that I want you to note for lesson 4, and that's 3 different ways that your cursor will look. So that's your mouse. That's the way your mouse shows up on the on your screen. 3 different ways the cursor shows up. So it will show up as a white cross. You can see that here. And this appears when you hover. That means you just kind of move your mouse button on top of the center of an active cell. Remember, an active cell means that you've selected the cell. It shows up in the very top part of your bar as the active cell because it's been selected. So when you have a cell that's been selected and you hover your mouse button over top of it, it turns into this white cross, white open cross. This lets you click and drag this, and you can click and drag it to select more cells than just the one. So you click and drag down, and then you'll select the entire row or column of cells. When it turns to a black cross, this is called the autofill cursor. This only appears when you hover your mouse button over the bottom right part of your active cell. So right on the very corner of your active cell, you'll see that black cross. We'll discuss autofill later on in the lesson. It's just so you know what that means. And then finally, there's a 4-headed arrow. This is the move button. If you hover your mouse button on the edges of the active cell, then what happens is you can click and you can pull that cell into a different location. So you can just drag it into a different location. The other thing that we're covering in this lesson is the smart tags. So smart tags are things that come up, and Excel is very intuitive. It tries to guess what you're trying to do. And every once in a while, it might send a little warning to you like, are you sure this is what you wanted to do? It might have been that you've missed something. So this is Excel's way, and it shows up a little green triangle on the top of a cell, and you'll see that as you work through the lesson. And it's Excel's way of saying, I think you might have made a mistake. So we can inspect what they think. We can look at what Excel thinks, the mistake they think you might have made, by clicking on it. And this is called a smart tag. And a smart tag comes up, and then it will be a little box in the center of your page, in the center of your workbook, and it will tell you what it thinks that you've done wrong. For lesson 2.5, you're actually opening a new workbook. You're right away going to do a save as and save it as data range test. And in here, you're going to learn how to select data when you select a square of data and how to move data around. Lesson 2.6. For this lesson, you must open first quarter sales and profit number 4. And this lesson teaches you how to select adjacent, that means text that is in cells right beside each other, and non-adjacent, so text and numbers that are in cells that are not right beside each other. It's important because sometimes you want to add certain cells together and they're not right beside each other, and this teaches you how to do it. Lesson 2.7 uses the same first quarter in sales profit number 4, and this one also shows you how to select non-contiguous, that means not beside each other, cell ranges, and also view summary information. Summary information is the same as what happened in Word, and you'll actually find it in the very bottom horizontal bar at the bottom of your screen. And that is it for this first lesson. So you're going to complete lesson 2.1. You're going to go all the way up to the last one that I just talked about. And now I lost my page, all the way up to 2.7. And then we will continue with lesson 2.8 next time. Don't hesitate to message me if you have any questions. Thank you.